Town Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joan?
Councilor Perry?
Present.
Councilor Cook? Here. Councilor Janick?
Present.
Councilor Edwards?
Present.
Councilor deMedeiros?
Here.
Councilor Burk?
Present.
Councilor Vieira is absent.
Consent agenda. Approval of the Town Council minutes. There are none tonight. Acknowledge receipt of minutes from the boards, commissions, and committees. Political Control Committee, the Dog Park Advisory Committee, 2. The Personnel Board, 5. Acknowledge receipts of reports from Denise, August 2022 Budget and Review reports. Acknowledge receipt of correspondence. Status request for 177 lowering speed limit and sidewalk request referred to Police Department. Letter dated 9/14/2022 from Teamsters Local 251 of Board of Trustees. Lawsuit NC 2022-0252, filed 9/9/2022 by Local 1703 of the IAFF. Washington Trust, Tiverton Police Pension Plan Portfolio, review dated 8/31/2022. Compensation Planning, actual review for the Tiverton Police Pension Plan as of 7/1/2022. Approval of tax assessor abatements of $400. Would any of the council like to pull anything from the consent agenda?
I would like to do 4D3. I think it's important that we read it to the public to see what's going on with that.
All right, and
Want that one?
anyone else? Yeah, I'm going to pull something, but anything else? I'd like to pull 4D2.
And Madam President, just to note, in our electronic packet, 4D2 is actually labeled for the Town of Hopkinton letter
That's probably why.
with legislation. Because I was
Yeah. Donna, you want to
in
go
the
first?
electronic packet.
Donna, you want to go first for 4D3?
Want to make a motion to accept the other ones first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Just wait, one second, Joe, I just want to, okay. So I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda without 4D2 and 3.
So, second.
Motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Councilor Cook, 4D3.
Okay, this is what we got for the firefighters filed the attached lawsuit on Friday. I'm assuming the town hasn't been formally served yet. Once it is served, that will start the time clock for filing a responsive pleading. This is from Tim Cavazza to Chris. I was just wondering if this is a different lawsuit than the other one or the same?
So.
It's the same concept.
It is a lawsuit. The other action that predates this was an administrative matter between the Department of Labor and the town. We believe that that is going to be dismissed. I haven't received that dismissal yet, and we have been served on this lawsuit.
Okay, all right.
Same matter, just different venue.
Okay, that was, all right, thank you.
All right, and I'll do 4D2. It's well, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve 4D3.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right, 4D2, and I'm reading this because I think the town needs to know what's going on with the Teamsters right now, so that if you're hearing any rumors, this letter was written by the Board of Trustees of the Team Local 251 Health Services and Insurance Plan. This letter responds to the Town of Tiverton request for information, RFI, sent to the Local 251 on July 25th, 2022. The RFI seeks certain information related to the cost of health benefits provided to members by the Teamsters Local 251 Health Services and Insurance Plan. The fund was enclosed plan information that's customary provided to contributing employees, including the current summary plan description and summary of benefits and coverage for each benefit tier. The fund is not in possession of any information related to specific cost breakdowns or individual claim data. Such detailed information is managed and maintained by and through the fund's insurance partners. Further, the fund has no special duty or obligation to provide requested information to a contributing employee under Section 8B3 of the National Labor Relations Act, NLRA, or the Employment Retirement Income Security. The only duty owed by the fund and its trustees is to the beneficiaries of the fund, to the exclusiveness of all other interests, including those of the employer. In consideration of the foregoing, the fund will provide the town only such plan information that it typically provides to other contributing employers. Chris, I can say what I want to say? I'm going to.
I believe you can, and if you need clarification, I can help you.
Okay. So the Teamsters have an insurance that the rest of the town employees do not have. It's through the Teamsters. It's an expensive and very thorough insurance company. The town of Tiverton is asking what this is costing us, what this provides our members, and what we're basically paying for. And we've been requesting this since July. And for the reason that we haven't received this information, negotiations have gone no further. We're meeting, but we're still not getting the information. Those of us on the negotiation team feel that if the town and the taxpayers are paying for this, we should know what we're getting. And we are not receiving the proper information. We are offering them that they can come on the insurance that every other town employee gets, but we want to compare apples to apples. And we're not able to because we're not getting the information. So if you're hearing anything different out there, this is why negotiations have stalled. We are meeting with them every week, well, every other week.
Trying to.
We're trying to anyway. And we really are not getting anywhere. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knows what's going on. Chris, would you like to?
So just to clarify, their health and welfare fund that they have, that they pay into, the town has a contribution rate, and the employee also has a contribution rate. The value of that plan is far higher than what we pay for any other employee, and it turned out during negotiations, when we got a chance to actually look at parts and components of that plan, there are things that we don't do for other employees, such as health, gym memberships,
Right.
tax preparation, legal, a number of things that we don't provide for others that, so in order to get them to apples with what is actually a health care benefit and a dental benefit and a vision benefit, and compare it to our other employees, we believe there's a savings that could be inured to both sides. But unfortunately, the members of the union and the union itself have not been forthcoming with those different categories of cost. And we've tried to explain to the union, if you want us to help you generate more money within the parameters that we're at, we need to know that so we can make a true financial apples-to-apples cost analysis, and without that information, we can't do that. The letter kind of intimates that there is things such as when we look to transfer employees from one health plan to another, there's an experience rating. We wouldn't gather that information locally, any of the individuals in town. It would go from health plan to health plan because of HIPAA issues, so we're not allowed to do that. We've intimated that. They know that that's not what we want. We want to go from plan to plan so that our other insurer can make a valid assumption as to what that cost would be. So we're trying to work within the parameters of what we're trying to do, but it's been just a little bit of a
It's been very, very difficult.
so.
Very difficult. And they've canceled the last 2 meetings we were supposed to have with them. So if anyone's wondering what's going on, that's part of it. All right. I'd entertain a motion to accept 4D2.
So moved.
I have a motion in several seconds. Okay. Any further discussion from the council? All those in favor? Okay. There's no public comments, right, Joan? Okay.
Excuse me, just a minute. We did get a letter from Mr. Miranda. Is that considered anything? It was on the 20th before the meeting with maps.
We sent it to the DPW.
Okay, well, I just wanted to talk about that, may I?
No, because it's not on the agenda.
All right, well, that's not helpful.
But Rick from the DPW did receive it. It's several letters from him, all saying almost the same thing, so we brought it back to Rick to look at. But we can't talk about it because it's not on the agenda.
So it needs to be on the next agenda?
Once Rick gives us some feedback, I will put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
Yes.
If that is in time for the next agenda, you say?
If it's in time.
Whatever agenda that is, after Rick gives us feedback, is when it will be back on.
Correct.
Oh, of
Yes.
course, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 6, public hearings.
I thought the public comment allows the audience to have a public comment.
Only if you sign up for it. And no one signed up
Or do you
this
have to
evening.
sign up for it?
It was supposed to be signed up at the beginning of the meeting, before I start the meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Can I still make my public comment?
Should we, I mean, we should, it's their meeting.
Yeah.
It's our meeting.
Did you make a public comment at the last meeting, or you tried to? No?
No, I did not because I was
Okay.
not aware of the time. There was a public visit.
Okay, well, first of all, come on up to a microphone and state your name and address. Yes.
Hi, my name is Jamie French, and I live at 81 Hobson Avenue. If I had, this is concerning Dizzy's Hookah Lounge, and you had the public hearing at the last meeting, but I was not aware of the fact that this was going to be an issue at that time.
Well,
It's the,
we're still having a public hearing, so you will be allowed to speak during that.
for,
For the hookah lounge, it's on here.
oh, on the agenda, it didn't show
Right,
as a
so I'll
public
let you
hearing.
speak during the public hearing.
And so there will be a public hearing for?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, it's been advertised.
Oh, it wasn't on the,
It
on
doesn't
the
say
agenda.
that.
It's on the
On the
board,
S-
it's on the Board of Licensing.
it
Did it-
wasn't on the SOS agenda.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's on the Board of
It's under
Licensing.
Board of
Right here,
Licensing, but I
Board
will
of
let
Licensing.
people speak.
Anyway, okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public hearing, I'll continue. Consideration of the petition to abandon Patrick Avenue and the portion of Harrington Avenue located in Rhode Island. Continued for May 22, 22, planning board recommendation. The petitioner is not here for a reason. A letter was sent to them this week with a lawyer's opinion of Patrick and Harrington Avenue. I'm going to have Mike review that with us, please.
Sure. So after the last council in the public hearing, we dug into the matter a little deeper and actually pulled the deeds and looked at some of the deeds that were given to us and actually went through the chain of title on this property. After extensive research that was done over a course of several weeks, looking at things that were filed on the town land evidence records, we determined from the solicitor's office that these avenues are not public ways for which the town has the right to abandon them, that they are owned in common by all the abutting landowners. We gave an extensive letter to the owner's property, the owners of the property's lawyer. We gave that to him on Monday. In that letter, we indicated that if he thought that he wanted to respond or give us a different, other information after giving us this, In that letter, we said if you would like to seek a continuance of this matter based upon the information that we provided, please let us know. He did call me a day or two ago and followed up with an email today asking that he would like this continued for 30 days so he could have an opportunity to respond to our legal findings, which is just a general courtesy that we would do. I take full blame for granting the continuance basically for the 30 days. So my recommendation is, and this letter, as I told the council president, I think this letter, if you would like a copy of it, we're happy to share it with you if the council so wants to do so. I think it's important that they see it.
I
And
think
so
they did, well, it's a public document.
it's a public document now anyway. So we can share that letter with you with our legal analysis. as a courtesy to him and his lawyer, give an opportunity to him to respond or give us other information that we believe we have missed. You will see from this letter that I have full confidence that this is a very thorough letter and has done a lot of research going back to deeds that go back to 1946. So we think that our analysis is correct, but I know this is hard to believe, but lawyers do make mistakes sometimes. And so we just give him a...
Not our lawyer.
Not our lawyer, not me. But anyway, so that's where we are. So I would ask, and we certainly have some public comment if you have any specific questions. The letter does explain all of it, but our position as we sit here today is that we do not have the ability to abandon these roads because these roads were never dedicated to the town. So, and that's the opinion that I think we're going to uphold. We're just going to give the other side an opportunity to correct any error that he may see based upon our analysis. And that's just generally how the process would work.
Now, just so I can get it out there, I was on the property, I don't know, 2 weeks ago again, because there was work being done and I went down there. I think no one knows where Patrick and Harrington is. I've seen, and Jay and Deb have been down there with me. And the other night I really walked it, and I actually walked it with the petitioner. And he has a totally different idea of where this is. I mean, totally different. So I think going further, there should be some kind of survey made of this land by the petitioner or the people that actually own it, if that's decided. Because I don't think, I am no surveyor, but I do know that Patrick Avenue was moved 10 times in the last month. And I'm not quite sure why. And I've walked supposedly Patrick Avenue, I've walked the Harrington. It was admitted that he cut down trees the other day on Patrick, but now he's moved Patrick totally to a different direction. So I think that all needs to be discussed. I also, the town, the building inspector is here today because he's been looking into this for us also. There's a lot of wetlands there. I've seen streams myself. Jay and I walked through some streams ourselves. There's a lot going on with that property. We contacted DEM. We tried to contact DEM.
Is DEM here?
But we are getting no answer from them also. But I know that the petitioner did hear from DEM. I was hoping he was going to come tonight, but I understand why he isn't here, because he's never told me what DEM actually told him. And he was supposed to email me with that. So, but I have to tell you all, and I think the neighbors were with me, some councilors were, Patrick Avenue was all over the place, and Harrington. So I don't think anybody can really, I think somebody needs to pay for a surveyor. Apparently, we don't own the property, it's not our responsibility, but before anything goes further, whoever has interest in this, you really need to get this surveyed.
Did anybody give him a cease and desist, so?
No.
So he still can go and do whatever he wants over there?
So I would say that we don't
Why
have
don't
the
you come
authority
up?
to do so.
It's not our land.
Right.
Okay, so we don't really have the authority to tell him that. I know your concern.
Right.
And it's my concern also, but
Concern of all the trees cut already that.
So just to help put a little bit more clarity to this, the only permit that the individual has, and he's got a clearance through DEM for an ISDS system.
that's it.
So he has an electrical permit to actually put that system in. There is no building permit, there's no structure permit, so there's really nothing that the town can intercede with until there's some violation of law.
Right.
My understanding is he can cut down trees where he's permitted to at this point.
Pursuant to DEM's regulations, that is correct.
Right, and the ISDS system that he has permitted actually has wetlands flagged that he can't be, it's a wetland buffer area.
Right.
What we don't know, and we're trying to find out, is there a freshwater wetlands permit? Is there any violations of that? But we're waiting to hear back from DEM.
And they haven't contacted us either, so.
And what about the parts of the roads that he's already cleared that he doesn't own, doesn't know? How do
Well,
we
let me
deal with
just,
that?
so according to this opinion, right, everyone owns those, he, like the other deed owners, own that roadway in common, so, with everybody else. So we don't, that's really between you and him, as he's clearing where the road, we believe the road is or whatever, but they're not our roads, so that's up to you as landowners. According to the deeds, you all own the land in common where the roadways are laid out, and if there's an issue there then you need to, based upon this opinion, you need to get the appropriate court order or injunction to stop him from doing that. But he also has an interest in those roadways as well because of the deeds that he has.
So he's a part owner also.
So the original deeds that I provided for the 30s, 40s, 50s, the last line on there where it says, my grandfather put he has the right to convey, what was the word? The last line of the deed to her grandmother's house where she actually lives, where Harrington does abut it, where he is clearing right behind her house. So there's a last line in there where it says that he has the right to convey to the people in that deed the rights to those.
Whatever that interest may be, that's what it says, right?
Yeah, so does that carry on for owner to owner to owner, or does that
Correct,
end?
correct.
All right, we weren't sure if it ended to just when my grandfather sold it to those people, or if it continued on.
It's,
Okay.
I don't want to get into the legal,
No, no,
I'm not a land, I'm not a land transactional person, but I will tell you that what that language really means is whatever we think we own, we're giving it to you and to your successor and whatever. So it's kind of like an ambiguous way of saying, we're not really sure where this line is or what this roadway is, but we're giving it to you to the extent that we own it, right? And it keeps on going and going, so that's kind of what it is.
Okay,
But
but we all do own rights to those roads.
Yes.
yes.
And I understand your frustration because I've been down there.
I appreciate everything you've done.
And I've seen trees down where I think the road is, and,
Just making a mess.
but you can't really, it's a mess, because there's no official new survey. I've seen surveys going back 30 years, 20 years. The other day I saw a brand-new survey that was 2006 or 16 that we have never seen before, that he showed me. So,
And that's really a private matter.
yeah,
between
it's
you and-
really, and I understand your frustration, and if I lived there, I'd be just as upset as you are. But you should be, in one way, satisfied
Oh, yes.
that they're not town roads. We cannot give him the privilege of doing what he's doing there. You all own those roads. So in a way, it's a it's a civil matter,
Right,
really.
and on his plan for his, the thing that you just mentioned.
The septic system, ISDS.
The septic
Yeah.
system.
It goes across both Harrington and Patrick on his own maps. And he's
Yeah.
already cleared that, so that wasn't his to clear, so we have to deal with that. But,
Well,
and if we don't-
that's my problem here. We gave a permit to do it on his land.
We don't
No,
give
we
the
didn't.
permit.
DEM
DEM
Well,
gives
did.
it.
DEM did, but it wasn't,
So did he represent it properly? And
Right,
again, I
was
think
it
that's a
his
legal
land?
question for you guys.
it's a mess. I agree with you.
The town
And if
doesn't
those-
regulate ISDS, other than inspecting.
And if those
No, but we
roads are
gave
not,
a permit from the
No,
town.
we did not.
Oh, I thought you just said
No, we
that.
have an
it's a
electrical
DEM
permit.
electrical permit.
Okay, sorry.
and if those roads aren't abandoned and we all say no, he can't put his house on those two roads.
I'm not gonna answer that question, that's for you, court to decide what those roads
So
are.
yeah,
Yeah.
But the deeds say what they say.
okay.
We're not in a position, we're not a
So-
court, we're not in a position, all I can tell you is that based upon this research in the letter of September 26th, the town does not own those roads.
Based upon seeing what's going on down there, somebody should be able to give him a cease and desist.
We don't own the land.
We don't own the
They
land.
can't- They can't stop him from clearing his own little squares, but what we can do is stop him from where he's gone 50 feet past his little squares, we can stop
Yeah,
him.
and that would have to come through a court.
Yeah.
Okay, and I also have a
Land court.
question as far as, has somebody actually confirmed that there are wetland barrier markers there? Because when we were there a couple of weeks ago, and I discussed it with him, and I mentioned the pink ribbon markers that he had moved to clear land and then put back with rocks holding the sticks up. He said, oh no, those aren't wetland, that's whatever color my excavating company had.
Yeah.
I said, well, pink is supposed to, if I'm not mistaken, designate wetland.
And some were laying down on the ground too, further in, when I walked in.
Yeah, they're all just ripped out, but there were no,
But he-
blue is the buffer
he-
zone, there's none of those.
He told us, and this was when Denise was there as well. He told us, oh no, those aren't wetland markers, because if they're not, then he has none. He has no wetland or wetland barrier markers out there.
That would only be regulated by DEM.
We
When I
have
built
to-
my house, I had to do the same thing. I had to hire an environmentalist, they had to come out and flag the properties. We had to stay away from those buffer areas. and they were flagged properly. But that's what he's represented, so I can't tell you, we don't oversee that. We can't intercede on a state agency regulatory matter. So they hold the licensing for those permits, we do not.
All right, so everyone, the problem is DEM right now, okay?
And they haven't done that.
And we are trying to contact DEM. I've tried to call DEM. You all need to bug DEM. It is their problem. It's not right what's going on right now.
Been contacted a couple times, but no answer.
But,
So there are a number of different agencies in DEM. There's ISDS, which is septic systems. There's freshwater wetlands. And they're all independent of each other. They're not, just because believe me, it's an onerous department to go through because they handle so many different functions.
Right.
But-
Boating, fishing licenses, you name it, they do.
Freshwater one I had called, and they had
That's
no
the-
record of that property over there.
Okay.
So they were
But-
looking it up, but they had no record that the work was going on.
So,
I will tell you, when you were with me, he handed me a piece of paper that DEM had been there.
And they were supposed to call.
And he was supposed to call immediately. And that was 2 Fridays, that was almost 2 weeks ago.
And he was welding while the excavator.
And I said to him, are you gonna call? He said, I tried. I left a message. I said, well, call on Monday and give me, I gave him my email, my phone, and said, let me know what they told you. And it's been almost 2 weeks and I've heard nothing.
no, that's
So,
absolutely-
and he had a number and a person to call. It was right, I saw it. I think you guys were right there with me. I know that land better than my neighborhood right now, I think. So anyone else?
We're just very thankful for everything you've done, we really appreciate it.
Well, it was a bunch of us that were,
Everybody.
yeah. Counselor Janick was the first one there and called me and said, you better get down here. So, all right. So this is what's gonna happen. This is, I guess I've opened the public hearing without really doing it. So, does anyone else want to speak that's out there in the audience? Anyone else? All right, I'll close the public hearing. Any of the councilors want to make any further comment?
I have one important question.
Go ahead.
Gentleman in the black shirt, do you have any good dad jokes?
No, please, I know, and they're not going to be good. I've gotten to know these people, that might not be good.
You know how they have all these committees and things about this poor thing, or let's get together to help these people? I think they should leave the lizards and salamanders alone. All this talk about the reptile dysfunction.
I told you. All right, so this is what, okay, this meeting's gone really bad. I know it's going to be on Facebook tomorrow. So, this is what we are going to continue this for 30 days. Give his lawyer to research what our lawyer's given him. And they will come back with their response in 30 days from now. Right now, the town council's going with our lawyer's opinion that we cannot abandon roads we don't own, which is common sense. So, so I'd like a motion to continue the hearing for 30 days.
Second.
Just set the date.
Yeah, I'm going to, I just need a calendar.
11/14.
10/25/22?
11/14, because 11/8 is election day.
Okay, so this will be continued until 11/14.
November 14th.
I apologize,
November 14th, or I'm sorry.
really quick.
November.
A copy of that letter.
Give it to you right now, and you can get the clerk has us the copy. Oh, the copy's right there.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Actually, I was going to send you one.
Monday, November 14th?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Just want to warn you, that letter is a letter from the town's lawyer to his lawyer. It's not by, just our opinion, so use it as you wish, but just recognize it's not, it's the town's position, that's the town's position.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion on the floor to continue till November 14th in a second. All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's work, I have to call in a minute, but I'll do the hookah lounge next and then I'll go. I know what it's about, I love it tonight. Okay, here we go. It's like deja vu, this meeting. All right, Board of Licensing, DeAndre Moreland Dizzy Hookah Lounge. Maybe I should recess this for a couple of minutes while Chris finishes what he's doing.
No, he'll be right back.
Okay. 525 Main Road, request approval of tobacco dealer license, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Hello.
How's it going?
Good. So, my understanding is you did go to the building inspector's office and get a list of things you were supposed to comply with?
I have not. I've been waiting for the list.
Can you speak into the mic for us?
I'm sorry.
John, could you come in? Okay.
There. Is that better?
Thank you.
All right.
You can
I know.
sit or stand, you can do anything you want.
Stand on one leg.
You can jump up and down, you can do whatever you want. Okay. So my understanding was a list was given to him.
There was no formal list, so we had an impromptu meeting at the site with myself, the fire marshal, the owner of the building, this gentleman and his representative contractor, and we went over the broad strokes, okay, based upon his description of what he wanted to do with the facility. And we, myself and the fire marshal, again, gave him very general information on what he would have to require once he got to the point where he could actually apply for, okay, a permit, okay, to make the changes physically, but also to comply with zoning and all of the other ancillary rules and regulations. So in my position, when people cannot even come to my office, or shouldn't, in my opinion, come to my office until they have stuff out of the way, I always suggest, for instance, with a zoning deficiency and somebody has to seek a dimensional variance, before they expend a whole lot of effort and research and getting things done and have this pile of stuff ready to bring to me, I suggest strongly that they go and see what might hold them up after they started with my office. And the first thing in this case is not a zoning variance, it is a license to operate the hookah lounge. So if he is not provided that license, then anything he does beyond that is moot.
Well, we're not going to provide the license until we get more information. We said that at the last meeting. First of all, I don't know if it's zoned for this. Second of all, I don't think the septic is efficient for this because we looked it up. That septic was granted for a business for 15 people at a time. Right now, you have a business, have a hairdresser. I can only imagine the water that's going into that septic. And you have 2 other offices, and now we're going to put a lounge there. I don't think the septic is compliant. He also has to prove to you that there's enough parking spaces.
If you don't, I don't mean to interrupt, Madam Chair. You're hitting on all the points that are
Right.
summarized in it.
But we're not going to provide a license unless we know he can do this. So this is what we normally do.
Okay.
You set up your business, you get it all ready to go, like a store, and say, now I want a tobacco license. This is more than a tobacco license, okay? This is a lot more than a tobacco license. It's not selling tobacco. It's a bar. It's a lounge. And we don't have anything in our zoning that allows this, that mentions this kind of establishment. We also know in the zone he's in, he's going to have to go to zoning for a special use permit.
For
All right.
a variety of reasons,
So-
I concur.
To be perfectly honest with you, and I'll be blunt, he should never have come here for this license. This was really putting the cart before the horse, because he has to establish this building, see if it's allowed there, see if the septic is compliant there, then come to us and say, I can open it, now I need my tobacco license.
So for future
Am I
reference,
explaining this?
I mean, generally, we would grant a license subject to meeting all legal requirements,
Right,
so.
and there's no
and then
legal
There's a lot of legal requirements that we've got to get the hurdle over, so that's,
that is true.
So, and there's, certificate of zoning would be, I think, the first thing, and that's, the town's got to decide from a zoning perspective whether or not this would be allowed under the zoning. And we're not trying to believe me, I'm not trying to give
And
you
this
our-
isn't your fault.
Just not yet.
You were given the advice, you could come here and it was the wrong advice. You weren't ready to come for a license at all. And we acknowledge that when I first saw this, I was like, the hookah lounge, that's nothing that we ever had in Tiverton, and this is a lot more than a tobacco license.
I would suggest your septic issue is something the owner of the building should be addressing with you.
Because I don't even think I don't know. We looked it up, and what it says it's compliant for, there's a lot more going on that property. So I'm not even, like, you putting something else onto that septic, when you look it up, it's for 15 people, retail shop, one store. He's got
Utilization for 15 people.
Utilization, so now we have
And that's 24 hours.
right, so now we have a hairdresser that I don't think DEM even realizes is going into, because that's what they permitted it for, that one store. Now we have a hairdresser there, we have 2 offices there, and now you want to put a hookah lounge in there.
Yeah, a hot dog store, no?
Yeah, we had a hot dog store there.
Plus you had an auto body shop there. and you
Yes,
had
and what DEM permitted
the
was for
machine shop.
that,
Machine
for
shop
that
was dumping,
retail store. So unfortunately, you've got a lot of issues over there. It might not be the appropriate place to put that because it,
But we don't know that yet. so
we don't know that yet. And the parking is an issue too. And I've been getting calls from neighbors, and they certainly don't want parking all the way down those roads, which I don't blame them. They're very narrow roads, and it's gonna be till late at night, and so, you know.
Our plan wasn't to have any parking on the roads anyway.
Yeah, but you don't have, you have to prove to us that you have enough parking spaces, because you told me at some point, how many people did you expect to have in there?
I mean, the seating was for, I believe 50.
50.
Yeah. But, I mean, but I will go according to.
Yeah, this is another building I've walked around several times now. I don't see that you have enough parking for that. I guess I have nothing better to do than to walk around town lately, but that's what I've been doing. So,
But those are all the kind of
Those
issues
are
that
all-
our
right.
administrative staff need to show us that you can meet
right,
those requirements.
because meeting all legal requirements, he hasn't met them. So he has to get all his ducks in a row and then come for the license.
Okay, so I apologize for putting the cart before the horse in this case. Like I said, I haven't had the experience in before
Right.
this board for the licensing purposes, and I'd be more than glad to sit down with him again and show him what
Yeah, and
my
maybe,
review has.
maybe
given
actually
me to
print
decide.
out a list, because someone who has never done this before, it's kind of difficult. I've been sitting here for years, and I need a list on what people need. So I think that would be a little bit helpful too. And we don't know if you can do it here, but we need to know that from all the agencies and from all the boards. This is not a public hearing, but would anyone like to speak? I'll allow it. That's okay, take your time.
Okay, Jamie French. I live at 81 Hobson Avenue, but I am moving on into the neighborhood. I'm doing the slow move. And I grew up, this is my neighborhood I grew up in, so I'm very familiar with it. And let's see, there was so many things. First of all, 525 is a nutrition shop. It's not, 527 is the architects, 529 is the hairdressers.
Yep.
531 is the tax shop.
Yeah, we know that.
The lower level has no address. According to DEM, there is only 4 businesses in that business. There are not 5 units for rental. There are 4 units. And when they did their 82 and their 2018 review of the septic, there was only 4 units that are supposed to be rented out. If there are 5, then there's an issue.
Right, and as we were looking, they have applied they applied to put in a new system there, and then they were given extensions and extensions, and it's 2022 of spring that they have to come up with some plan. I don't know if you noticed that as you were looking.
Well, I don't know. All I know is that they had told me the same thing you did, which is that it's allocated for 15 people, and it's basically already taken up between the nutrition shop and the hairdressers. And to say that this is 525, to call this Dizzy's 525 is kind of wrong, because it's not.
Well, it's in the basement of 525.
Right, but when the state liquor, the state tobacco licensed people came by to inspect it, they went to the nutrition shop, and she didn't know anything about it. And they're like, well, you applied for a tobacco license, and she's like, I'm a nutrition shop. I didn't apply for a tobacco license.
I mean, I assume you were given that address by the owner of the building to use.
Yeah, because it's the basement of the building, and I think that's the address. There has been yeah, there was a business there that was 525.
Yeah, the
So,
restoration-
525 is actually the nutrition shop. I mean, for assessment purposes, you might put the whole place under 525, but every business has their own address. And obviously, the lower level has never had an address, and they're
Well, it
probably
had
not
this-
being, and it's probably not being assessed as a 5-unit rental. It's probably being assessed as a 4-unit rental, because there's only 4 addresses there. And so anyway, to get, it says in the comprehensive community plan 4.4 that we are to protect the unique character of Tiverton. And this business is not really in with that unique rural character of Tiverton. I mean, hookah lounges. And it also says that we are to protect the air quality of our town. And a hookah lounge does anything but protect the air quality. It produces a lot of smoke. The people upstairs, the 2 units upstairs, actually have asked previous rentals to stop smoking inside because the smoke comes up through the walls and the floors. and
right, but if
infiltrates
you look at the state regulations for a hookah lounge, it's very specific. The ventilation they have to have, the fans they have to have, it'll be a little different because there is actually state regulations for, it's called a smoking lounge.
Right,
And they have to have these elaborate systems in there.
But what, you're going to ventilate it outside so that the neighbors all get to smoke?
Well, apparently when
Smell
it goes outside, it doesn't smell like smoke anymore. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, like,
Right.
They're called carbon filters.
Yeah.
They're actually, the carbon filters,
Yeah.
and the mainstream name is called smoke eaters. So basically, smoke goes in and eats up the
Comes
smoke,
out.
empties out as fresh, breathable
Yeah.
oxygen. So you can't even smell.
That's what I read. So, but if you ever been to Providence and walked by a hookah lounge, and I'm not saying I approve, whatever, you don't smell tobacco. So I just, because my daughter lives in Providence, I've walked by them.
I don't know. I know that one hit of a hookah pipe produces the smoke of 100 cigarettes. Would you want to live next door to that?
But
Just to be clear, and I appreciate, Jamie, your comments, and you messaged me with some of this information as well. I appreciate that. We don't have, if a hookah lounge were allowed within our zoning laws, we could not say no. We just because it's tobacco.
Right.
We don't have the authority to do that. And I don't smoke. I hate smoking. She knows that. And, I detest it. If I could regulate it more so, I probably would, but we don't have that authority.
But you do have the authority to make sure that the comprehensive community plan
This
is...
has nothing to
This
do.
has
So let me
nothing-
ask you this. What do you think of the fireworks shops up at the north end of town? Do they fit into the comprehensive plan?
No. Maybe they shouldn't
But
be
we
there.
have to allow them.
I
We have to allow
mean,
it.
maybe
The
they should...
comprehensive plan is not this,
Bible.
it's a guide, and yes, we need to try to do our best to follow it, but it doesn't mean we use it to stop businesses from coming in that are, yes, to some they're a nuisance, and I understand that. To some they're, myself, this is a health hazard. I don't disagree with that. But that's not what the comprehensive plan regulates.
Well, I don't know. I mean, when businesses want to go in other areas of town, people consider it, and so Tiverton is all one place, and if a hookah lounge isn't appropriate for Stone Bridge or for Lake Road or for Brayton Road, then it shouldn't...
We're not saying it isn't.
If it was in the zoning district and it was
we're
allowed
not
in the
saying it
zoning
isn't.
district, then it would be
Yeah.
allowable.
Right. Well, there shouldn't... it's not zoning doesn't say that we can have it, so it's not a question
Well,
of,
they need a special use.
of maybe saying that
Maybe.
it doesn't outlaw it. Maybe it should be a question of, does it allow it? I mean, if it's not
Right.
in the zoning, then maybe
that would
that
be-
means that it's not allowed.
But that would be up to those boards to make that determination, not this council.
Well, I called zoning, and they said that they're finished with Dizzy's and that he's not coming back.
Have you ever been to zoning?
No.
No.
I don't think I talked to his building inspector.
No, he's never even been to zoning.
No, that's what Priscilla told me.
It hasn't even gone to zoning.
Priscilla very clearly stated that was.
Well, find me an agenda where it's on, and then I'll agree with you.
I
But
don't know.
it-
This is on.
I know it
this-
hasn't
I
gone
called.
to
I
zoning.
called the question, and this is what I was told. To
Um,
find out they were going to be. All I called was to see if they were going to be scheduled for a future zoning
Well, they don't know
meeting.
that yet until we
He
get all the
applies.
information.
Okay.
And he certainly hasn't applied yet because he's trying to work himself through this. So zoning would not know if to say they're through with them, I don't know what they're.
I don't know. When I talked to Priscilla, she said that that Desmond had been in earlier and that she
Who's
had talked to
Priscilla?
him.
She's
Who's the clerk?
But
Yeah,
Counselor,
that's the building officials.
yeah,
Anyway,
Jamie, Counselor Edwards and I go to the zoning meetings with the liaisons, and no, you have not been there.
well, I know he hasn't been there because, well, I was calling zoning to ask if he was going to be on an upcoming meeting prior to coming back here
Well,
tonight. And this is what
Yeah,
I
well,
was.
see, he's not prepared to do that.
And that's what I was told
I really
that-
have to speed
Okay.
this up, okay?
Okay, so you covered smoke, lack of parking, the lack of address, lack of septic. The closing time is an issue.
Well, we haven't even determined that
But I'd
yet.
like to at least mention these things, because these things are issues for the neighbors. And if someone's discussing a 1 or 2 o'clock.
Excuse me, I find it very interesting what you're saying, but considering that he hasn't even done the first process yet,
Then we can't talk about
that you
this
would
stuff.
then have to have another hearing.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna
if
have
we
to
could
have
take this up at another hearing.
Okay.
But one of the things that I think that you're speaking about, not to prolong this, is that people have a right to open a business.
Yes.
Now, if you don't want to go to that business, okay, don't go to that business. But you can't stop someone from doing something because you don't like it. If they have done everything they're supposed to do, because we have ordinances, and we have building permits, and we have God knows
Zoning.
whatever, then they have a right to open it. You have a right not to go there.
Right.
So, anyway, I think we need to
Yeah,
wrap it
so
up.
just so we know, so our ordinances allow a license. If this gentleman meets all the requirements of the license, we have to grant it to him. We can't discriminate against it because we don't like the business because he meets all the requirements. However, we've determined at this point that his application for the license is a bit premature because he's got a building issues that he's got to resolve. And we wouldn't give him a license to a building that might not be sufficient for, but sir, I'm sure if you can prove that all those things that, the list that the building official is going to give you, that you meet all the certain criteria, it would be, I'm sure this council has no choice but to grant you the license, but you have to meet all those other requirements first. And that's where we're at. So I don't want to keep you thinking we're in a circle, but
Can I
and
just
that's where we're
add-
at.
I would like to add that we have, as neighbors though, we also have a right to a quality of life.
Absolutely.
And we have a right to expect that we can have emergency vehicles up and down our road.
And absolutely.
That we don't
And
have
we haven't
vehicles.
even determined.
We're not even close to that
We're not
yet.
even close to that yet.
But
I think what they're saying is premature right now because
This
there's
is
no.
Right,
premature
but
right
after,
now.
it is premature, but you still should know how people feel.
You've been writing us letters, and we know, and other people have, and we know how people feel, but at this point, we can't make a decision. We have to make sure the building is adequate, the septic is adequate, the parking is adequate. There's tons of stuff that has to be done before we grant anything here,
Right,
okay?
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, gentlemen. So once you get everything ready, just go to the clerk and ask to be on the agenda again. And I'm sure the building
Please
inspector.
work with John to
Yeah,
determine
and
whether
work
whether or
with
not this building is suitable for what you're trying to do.
I-
Because at the end of the day, I hate to see you spend a lot of time, energy, and effort to
Right,
get
I-
somewhere that the structure itself is not going to be comported for what you need to do.
Correct.
And if
That's why I
you-
have everything on,
yeah.
on ice right now until
Okay.
I get, you know.
If the landlord suggests it is, I would suggest that you have that in writing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And thank you for being
Being
so
patient.
patient and quiet, and thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I'm gonna have, come on up, Renee, and Mike's gonna do this for a minute while I call her.
I don't think I need the gavel.
You sure Renee
hope
might have to be gavelled? He wants to know if I
can be
need the
feisty,
gavel
huh?
for you.
Oh, yeah, please. You,
Come on down.
no, I said, I
Oh,
don't
I
think I
wanted to
need
know
the
if you
gavel.
needed the
I'll just go
gavel.
like this if I have to.
Well, it is Renee. Here.
Yeah, it is Renee, you might want it.
Oh, don't pick on her.
I'll be right back.
I think it's her entourage I'm more worried about. So Renee, very important upcoming events.
Yeah, October, yeah. Should I wait for Denise? Am I
No,
wait-
she has to make a phone call for work.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can people hear me? Am I doing this correctly? I don't want
Just
to
yell. Just yell.
Just yell.
There you go.
Just
Okay.
yell.
Yeah, we're going to have two different conversations here, but basically October is going to be a very busy month for the Economic Development Commission. I'm going to go first, even though the event is later in the month. The Greater Chamber of Newport is going to be sponsoring its business walk again. They had done this in 2019, and then because of COVID, didn't do it in 2020, and then did a virtual one in 2021. And what this does is have groups of or teams of people from town council, town administrators, whoever wants to be on a team, go and interview different businesses in the town. And by interviewing them, you're finding out what their concerns are, what they feel they need to have support, and it's a good way of just getting to know the businesses, getting to know the business owners, getting to know their concerns, and that's what the business walk is going to be. It is going to be on October 25th from 9 to 12, and I'm going to hand out the first piece of paper that will tell you a little bit about the business. And then what's going to happen is, within the next 2 days, I am going to be sending out emails to the business list that I have, asking businesses to join in on this event. And I will also be sending out an email to different people, such as town council members and different members of commissions, giving them the information on how to become interviewers. It was a very good activity. I enjoyed it the time that I did it. I did the virtual one. I wasn't able to do the 2019 one. But it's a good way to get to know people in the businesses in the town. And I think it's a good way for the EDC to let people know that we're listening to them. So that's why we're pushing it and hoping that you will all participate at some level or another. So then the second event is something that the EDC is doing, and I'm going to introduce, this is Christine Francis and Martin Van Hoff, who are from the EDC and have been spearheading the next event, which is actually going to be happening first. So, and there, you don't have to gavel me. Start.
Sure.
We had seen several folks from the Chamber of Commerce come to our meetings and explain kinds of things that they are able to do for businesses. And it came up that maybe the SBA would be an organization that could help us help businesses in town. So we contacted them to understand a little bit more about how they might the various programs there can help, and I was surprised at how much help the SBA can offer. And so I'm going to turn it over to Christine, because Christine is the organizational person that I am definitely not. But after seeing what SBA has to offer, maybe I should be embarrassed to say that I never took advantage of it when I did have a business.
Thank you. So The reason we asked Martin to start talking about it, because it really was Martin's idea to create this as a resource for the businesses in the town. And I have a little bit more experience planning programs, so I sort of took over that part and the educational part. So what we are doing is creating a business forum, and it's a 2-hour session. It'll take place October 18th at the Yacht Club from 8 to 10. And what we're doing is bringing in a variety of resources. Wherever we can, we want representatives directly from those resources. Like Martin mentioned, the SBA. We're hoping to get someone from the state if we can. We have someone from the SCORE mentoring program coming in. We have someone from CIC, which is a Community Investment Corp, coming in. And there are some others directly that might have come in. And basically, it's a 2-hour workshop where everyone's just going to give a brief presentation on what resources they offer. So we'll start off with educational resources, the SBA, local classes that they offer, local organizations they partner with, the vast network that they already have online of free classes that anyone can take on a variety of topics. We'll then go into mentoring programs, and the person will present from the SCORE mentoring program. He's actually located in Fall River, but he works with the Rhode Island SCORE mentoring program and already works with some Tiverton businesses to provide one-on-one mentoring. We'll talk about other mentoring programs. We'll talk about programs from the state that are available in terms of training, and then also later in terms of funding for small businesses. We'll talk about some free marketing programs, like through Discover Newport, where you can market on their website for free. If we have restaurants in the room, which we hope we do, we'll have them talk about Restaurant Week, which is a program that it's free and it's heavily promoted to get people out and using the restaurants at what's typically sort of a downtime for them. We will then sort of close it with revisiting the finances again in the CIC program, SBA loan programs, state programs. And those people, as many as we can, we'll have them stay to answer any questions one-on-one. We're going to try to keep it brief, not a lot of PowerPoint, just maybe showing on the screen what they look like online, encouraging people to bring their phones and laptops so they can bookmark as they go. We'll serve coffee and muffins or something at the beginning. And we will send out sort of a summary to everyone afterwards, too, that sort of gives links and any sort of information so people that aren't able to make it to the forum can follow up.
The way we got people interested in this is that Christine came up with a survey, and actually we sent the survey out to businesses. So that's how we got businesses to then come to this workshop. So
Will you be sending reminders to them? Okay.
Well, the survey was just to sort of help us define, like sort of ask them, what type of resources are you looking for? What day of the week can you attend? What time of day is best for you? And we tried to use that to try to figure out what might work best for everyone. So what we are about to launch right this week is we're going to send an email to the list that Renee has with a summary and a link to a Google form that just lets them sign up. It's very, very simple, but it'll just take a few minutes for them to sign up. We also have a poster that we'll have printed. We're going to distribute around town, including here, have a QR code on it that they can just swipe. It brings them right to that form again. They can just sign up right on there. It will be on the town website. I'll send it over to Dave, right?
Dave.
Okay. I always want to call you Dan, but Dave. And it'll also be on, it'll be on the EDC section. It'll be on there. So what we're just asking is to please help spread the word. We want this to work for any business. It doesn't matter if they're, a plumber or a carpenter, or they can fix computers, or they're a restaurant owner. It really should help anyone, and we can sort of tailor it a little bit when we know who's in the room and know to sort of not focus on some topics if there's no one there that's interested in them, and make sure we mention some if it does apply. So we really hot and heavy want to get people to register over the next 2 weeks so we can just sort of reassess, check in with all our presenters, and finalize everything for the 18th.
Thank you.
And that's why we came to you, because we hope that people are watching this on TV.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say this is good advertisement.
Yep. It should go live on there. I have everything ready and I haven't sent it over yet, but by the end of the week.
Thank you all. This is the most active I've seen the EDC. And I know it's a lot of hard work, and I give you a lot of credit for this. And they keep pointing at you.
No, it's a collaborative
effort. I think you're the computer
effort.
person, because Renee just looked at me and said she's unbelievable. But I want to.
More things with
And we had something very similar to this a few years ago. Don't you remember? It was maybe 9 years ago. It was over down in Four Corners, and a lot of businesses did come to that.
The reason we're having it at the staff, but I saw you sort of look. It was because the library's not open, so we couldn't use the community room.
Yes, right.
And then the other reason was that it was
It was free.
Yep.
and also, it's just, the time was just easy for us to use that.
It's kind of centralized.
What time is it again?
It's 8 o'clock.
8 a.m.
And there is a spot on the sign-up form if somebody is disabled and needs the elevator access, to just let us know, because there's limited parking there, but there is parking, and we can accommodate people that can't take the stairs, because that's the one drawback to it. But I think that we'll be fine, and if we get enough, if too many people, we'll just arrange parking and have them get dropped
Well,
off or
there's also,
something.
for those who are ambulatory and don't mind walking a little bit, there's the public parking up by the bridge. Yeah.
I think in general, the parking's fine.
Yeah,
It's just,
fine.
it's just for handicap access, because
Right.
there is like an individual elevator. I think it only takes 1 or 2 people at a time. And so we just are specifically asking for people to let us know if they need to use that.
Yeah, no, and I apologize that I missed the last meeting, but I didn't have a choice
We heard.
on that one. But no, I echo Denise. The CDC has been gangbusters with what you're doing, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Cook, discussion and possible vote regarding the nationwide problem with recruitment and retaining police/fire dispatchers.
Yes, thank you.
Is Chief Jones here?
He was.
Oh, yeah, he's hiding
Yeah.
behind the machine.
Is the lieutenant here?
He's not here yet, ma'am.
Okay, so I was asked to kind of put this off until he's still at work, and he's supposed to come here. So if we could do 8C or D until Lieutenant Palagi makes it in.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have to make a motion?
Do we have to make them? No.
No, okay.
8C, tax assessor Roberts, discussion possible vote to advertise request for proposal for the state mandated statistical reevaluation to be effective 12/31/2023.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Hi. Just looking for permission to advertise this RFP. As you know, we have to do revaluations once every 3 years. We'll be coming up, we just completed the last revaluation was a full revaluation. This one will be effective 12/31/23, which will be a statistical update. We do have the funds available in that restricted account, but also keep in mind that these updates, the state does pay 60% of these. So right now, I do believe that you have the RFP in front of you. Our solicitor has reviewed it. He's okay with it. It does meet the IAA standards for an RFP for revaluations. So I'm just looking for the approval to move forward.
Mike, you did review this. Any questions from the council?
So, not a question, well, questions, but more to put on the public record. So this does not require the evaluators to come to your home, correct?
It's not a door-to-door. The only reason that they will go to someone's property is when we take a look at sales. We do want to verify that the sales information that we have is accurate, and also the data on that house is accurate.
And the reason we do this now, every, 3 years?
Every 3 years.
Is because?
We want to reflect what the market's doing.
And we don't want big dips like we did prior to this law?
Correct. Prior to this
Wait
law,
10
it took
years.
place in '97. We did revaluations once every 10 years. So there's wide swings of value. So this is supposed to kind of calm that curve a bit.
And it's required by state law?
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion. Yes, Donna.
I'll make a motion to advertise request for proposal for the state mandated statistical revaluation to be effective 12/31/2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Police Chief Jones. Hi. Discussion and possible vote to appoint Lieutenant Michael Barbosa, retired, to the position of Reserve Police Officer.
Good evening. So Lieutenant Barbosa is not here tonight. However, Lieutenant Barbosa did retire with 20 years of service to the town. He was the detective commander. My only regret about Lieutenant Barbosa is that he did retire. but we wish him well, and he has requested to become a special per our policies, and I know I gave you the backup. He's also gone through medical screening, along with all the requirements of the department to be a reserve police officer. So if approved by the council, I would just ask that he go and report to the clerk so he can get sworn in.
And he isn't here this evening.
That is correct.
Any questions for the police chief?
When did he retire?
In August, ma'am. He just retired.
Just now.
Oh, is there any kind of rule where you've got to wait a year or anything like that? No?
No.
Okay.
It said in here it has to be within 3 years.
Correct.
Of retirement. How many of these special offices do we have?
Approximately 6. And of those, the majority are retired Tiverton police officers.
A couple of them went back to school, though.
Um,
Oh, no, not
No.
reserve. No.
No. The majority of the officers that we have who are reserves are retired.
reserves, okay.
Reserve police officers. You're thinking of the special officers?
That's what I'm
Yes,
thinking
ma'am.
of. I'm really, I apologize.
These were active, full-serving
Right, I
police
remember.
officers.
Yes.
And the reason why the difference between the specials and the reserve police officers under the policy can carry firearms and have full arrest powers, and we utilize them at the casino.
Yes. It just hit me.
And they are required to have been
Correct.
certified.
Correct. And they're required to maintain.
Right.
Any
I'll
other
make-
questions?
I'll make a motion, we appoint Lieutenant Michael Barbosa, retired to position of Reserve Police Officer.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Town Administrator, discussion and possible vote to approve an extension of the current purchase and sale agreement between North Point Development and the Town of Tiverton to 1/11/2023. This was brought to my attention maybe 2 weeks ago, a week and a half
ago,
ago,
yeah.
that the sales and purchase was expiring, and they were still doing some preliminary work on the land.
Okay.
I did sign a 2-week extension until it got to you.
Yep.
So that it wouldn't expire completely. It was the advice of the lawyer, I could do that, so I did.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want it to
Anything
expire.
to add?
No, they're just still doing some due diligence work, they're doing some exploratory borings, they're doing, whatever they would need to complete this. And we kind of expected that when we did the purchase and sale, that it was a very, very tight timeline. And so I do believe it's prudent to give them the extension to move forward.
And expired last week, so I had to sign it.
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I too. Yeah.
All right.
I move approval of the extension of the current purchase and sale agreement between North Point Development and the town of Tiverton until January 11th of 2023.
Motion been, what's the matter?
Make sure we have a copy before you leave.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All those in favor? While we're talking about North Point, I'd like to make an announcement. Tomorrow, North Point will be at the library from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. They're doing a community outreach. They invited a lot of the neighbors around the Christopher Drive area. They've also already met individually with them. The public is welcome to attend, and there'll be representatives from North Point there describing a little further about their project and listening to any concerns that the neighbors might have. So that's tomorrow, Thursday, 4:30 to 6 o'clock. I'll be there. I think Chris is coming, and you're all welcome to
I'll come
attend.
after my meeting that I have.
They've done additional public meetings too with Historical Society,
Yeah.
the Economic Development, the police, our fire, Public Works. So they've been out and about doing a lot of public input.
And what I understand, this is the first of many other public outreach that they're going to be doing, but this is the first one. Okay. Town Administrator, Fire Marshal Murphy, discussion and possible vote to approve request for a change in the fire alarm and sprinkler plan reviews from a flat fee of $100 to the state authorized scaled fee permitted under State Fire Code 2328.2-26. Craig?
Yeah, so in front of you, you should have in your backup a plan to increase the fire alarm and the sprinkler plan review fees. They've been a steady fee for some time now. With all the new construction coming in, I think we're just trying to get in line with the state fees in the departments around us.
And how was it explained to me is there's small buildings and there's huge buildings with huge systems, and we're charging the same price.
Yes,
to
so
both.
if it's, exactly. So a small building the size of the town hall is $100, or if we have a
Like
114,000 square foot building going in, it's $100. So Danny spends a lot of time
Point.
on the plan review fee, and we're,
A good example would be the storage facility that
Yes.
Danny is, I don't know how many different carved-out rooms and alleys and hallways, and the sprinkler system in that thing is pretty extensive, and
Right.
it's far more than putting in another addition for the restaurant up the road here that, is just adding on. It's
right, the amount of time Danny spends on a sprinkler system is hours upon hours. Correct?
And if you see in the back, there's a fee.
So by law, there's a way for Danny to scale that, instead of having simply a flat fee.
So it goes from $100 to what?
Whatever it is, proportionally by rate, by value.
Yeah, it goes way up if you notice. But, I mean, we're talking big buildings like the casino, still cost $100.
Yeah, storage place, long
You know,
place.
Did it?
Yes, it was a flat fee.
Danny wrote this, so Danny can explain the fees and how they exactly work with the state.
So approximately in 2007, the town adopted the fees as page 2 is current. So what they did is they adopted the construction cost for commercial. We're not going to touch residential. That is set on the top, okay? So what we're looking to do is just commercial. So when they build it, we follow the state fees by cost of project, okay? But when we do sprinkler and fire alarm plans, it's a flat fee of $100, whether it's this building or whether, like the acting chief said, 100,000, 600,000.
Or the
square foot
casino
building.
or
Right.
whatever.
So for like a building like this, it would probably take me 2 to 3 hours to do the plan review on the fire alarm system, okay? And then I have to do a wire inspection, and then I have to do a final fire alarm inspection. So I'm probably looking at a full day from A to Z. For the casino, it's $100. It's probably 2 days to do just the plan review on the fire alarm system. It's probably 2 to 3 days just to do the rough wire inspection of the fire alarm system. And it's probably the same amount of time to do the final fire alarm acceptance test.
Well, you also have the hotel there, too. So
Right,
it's
right,
both-
just-
both,
right,
yeah.
right. So just to get in line with, not that we're trying to, but it's just trying to do apples to apples, and rather, we don't think it's fair to charge, I'm gonna say this building $100, but charge the casino or a larger facility the same price, which is gonna take us 600
Well, it's a
times,
lot more
a
man
lot more
hours
time.
and more,
Right.
It's costing us so much money
Correct.
to send
Yeah, I mean,
somebody
you're
out.
not, no matter what we charge, we cannot exceed the state law. And that's what I'm asking, just to go to the state law. We cannot exceed it unless we go to Board of Appeal and Review and go through this whole thing. We're only looking for commercial to just adopt the state fee by cost of project for everything relating to commercial properties. So that would be the cost of the construction, then it would be the cost of the sprinkler system, and then it would be the cost of the fire alarm system, rather than having that flat fee for the fire alarm and the sprinkler.
So for some properties, they could go down?
Yes, some of them could be $90. It just depends on the cost of the project according to the chart. Yes. And what I did is, with permission from the administrator, the previous chief, and the acting chief, I did, as being a part of the Rhode Island Association of Fire Marshals, I did call some departments and find out what their fee schedules were. And as you can see on page 4, pretty much a lot of them use the state fees. Other than it was, Little Compton kind of used our old, the one we currently use, and Warwick has their own fee schedule somehow. But you can set your own fee schedule, but you just can't exceed the state fee schedule. So we're just looking to go to the state for all commercial property.
It just doesn't look like it's enough. I mean, if you're,
Well,
I'm sorry.
So unfortunately, if you
$1
look.
million, you're asking $500?
No, that's, so, are you looking at page, where are you? Page 4?
It's not,
So-
I screwed up.
Yeah, so you're looking at, Donna, you looking at this one here?
I'm trying to listen
Is it
inside
all
and it's not
Yeah, so
working.
what happens is that one is just what other departments charge. I just wanted to give you some background on what other departments are charging.
No, I know
Okay.
that.
That's okay. So, but that's what
They
Warwick-
charge-
Right.
I'm just trying to figure it out. So
Yes, but that's Warwick.
$500,000 to $1 million, they charge
Yep.
they charge
That's-
$500,000.
yes, the
city of
Is that it?
Warwick.
Right, City of Warwick, correct.
Okay.
So that was just the background, of just to give you.
I don't want
what-
you to charge much more,
Yeah.
no.
So what we're looking to do.
I know.
Yep, but that's Warwick, and again, you could go below the state law, you just can't exceed the state law. Okay, so again, what we're looking to do is, page 2 is what we currently charge. All I'm looking to do is, if you look at page 3, is keep the commercial the same, the commercial plan review, but change the sprinkler and fire alarm to mimic that, and that's the state law number. And I think the last 2
So
pages.
over $500,000, Don, would be $3,000
Don't count the first page.
Yeah.
and $33 plus.
Plus $4 a thousand.
$4.
This, one,
Oh,
That's page 2.
Yes.
two,
So if it's $600,000, it's $3,000 for the first 500, and then
Yes.
it's $4 per
Right.
thousand above that.
Right,
there you go, Donna, it's more than you think.
right.
if I don't
The
like
bottom line is on some of these, yes, we will.
Yes, you
Make
will
a
make
little
more,
less.
you'll make more,
But
and
let's
right,
have a-
correct. Right, but it'll be more,
So you-
but
Cost of the job.
but
Make it up for
but
500,000.
it's more consistent with the time that I have to put into that project than it would be.
If the project's more, it'd be $4 per thousand.
And it doesn't touch the private
No,
residences.
because right now, for single
bring it up,
family
I
folk,
just pointed
as
out
you
to
look
you.
at the top.
No, see,
1, 2, and 3 family
go back to current.
is state law, and we're not touching that because we meet state law now.
Good.
So I just
Go to
moved it
proposed.
as the
Go to
proposed to
the
keep it the
schedule
same.
of fees,
Just those
which
two.
is this.
Yeah.
Sprinkler and fire alarm.
But I think that's fair because it
So
better
the
justifies
100
your
goes away.
time.
Right.
Right.
Yes, but we charge,
It's not part of this specific.
so for the whole building
These
plan,
places do need reinspection,
right, it's based on.
Yes,
and how do we do that?
we don't. No.
Yeah.
So all the
So-
license renewals and everything, Danny finds the time throughout his busy week.
Why don't,
So Danny, just for clarity, on the current page where it says current fire fee schedule, you go through and there's a commercial plan review. That commercial plan review is the actual commercial plan review for the structure?
The building itself,
Okay,
correct.
so, and you have a sprinkler and a fire alarm review for $100 each. You go to the proposed one, the next page, so it says adopt 2328-2-26. Is that the piece above it?
Yes, yep, so if you
Okay,
look.
that just makes it clear.
Yep, so if you see commercial plan review state law.
So it's confusing when you look at it, it's like, oh, it's the same fee, but one was for the commercial development review.
Right.
And one is now for the sprinkler and one for the.
Correct.
Okay.
So what I just did on that is rather than write it all over.
No,
again,
I get it.
I just cited the state.
I just want to
law,
make
which
it
is-
clear,
yeah.
so people aren't confused.
okay.
well, that's my question.
So I will have to look at that because I do know if the state fire marshal, but it's in their state law. The reason why we can charge is because it's adopted by you guys as the town council by ordinance. If you didn't adopt it by ordinance, we can't charge for anything. And that's written in the state law. Okay? I'd have to look to see, because I know the state fire marshals, when they do go out and do an inspection, I think it's a $100 fee. But I have to just see where that would fall into us.
So Chief
I don't know.
Reynolds, before he retired, started looking into charging and going out and doing our inspections and fees for re-inspect, for licensing. And also monitoring of the fire alarm, the radio boxes. I have a folder that he started. Me and the marshal have been looking at it slowly, but it's to introduce a plan to follow in Portsmouth's footsteps. They have somebody who takes care of the fire alarm. They pay a fee to the town or the fire department. They maintain it. If a battery needs replacing, they have a contractor hired to go out and replace the batteries, and it all falls under their fees of maintaining their system. It's a little complicated, but we have been looking into it to try to recoup. Also, not too long ago, the police department had I can't remember her name, chief, the woman helping out with records, with fines and the ordinances.
Oh, you're talking about municipal court?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
From Cranston, who came down to Curia.
Yes, so I was in discussions with her also about where she came from Cranston. They have fees for false alarms, how many times you go out, first, second, third, false alarm, you charge for a nuisance alarms. So I've looked into all that. It's just a matter of putting it all together and having a plan to present to the administrator.
So do we need
So that
new
kinda answers your
ordinance?
questions, Jay.
Yeah?
Well, we would need a new ordinance when we decided to do that.
Right.
Well, for instance, we need to spend a good deal of money to upgrade that system.
Yes,
We'll see tonight.
And there should be a way. to
That'll be
pay
coming
for
up
it.
soon.
Yeah, Division 21, is that what
Yes.
you're talking about? Yeah,
Yeah.
70-something thousand dollars right now.
That's in the capital.
Okay, any questions? I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for a change in the fire alarm and sprinkler plan reviews from a flat fee of $100 to the state authorized scaled fee permitted under State Fire Code 23-28.2-26.
Second?
Further discussion?
Can I just make a comment? I know Councilor Perry made it. Can we just adopt the whole thing? And the reason why I asked that
What do you
is
mean?
the whole proposed, rather than just adopting the sprinkler, just adopt this as a whole. Reason being is so that we can make sure it's coded in our ordinance, so that there, and I don't want to speak in public about it, if you want to speak to me in private, there is possible litigation, not with us, not with this town, but with another town, in regards to a plan review fee adopted in ordinance.
So this would
Okay,
not
I'm
be
really-
an ordinance.
Okay, so,
Or whatever, I mean, so, but at least we've adopted it, so.
all right, so we have an ordinance that says $100, is that what you're telling me right now?
To my knowledge, it was adopted sometime in 2007, if not beforehand.
We're not adopting
No,
an
okay.
ordinance
All
tonight,
right, all
so
right.
I think what we need to do is write an ordinance with this in there, right, Mike?
Do we have one?
Are our fees currently set in our ordinance, our current fees?
I don't know if are they in ordinance?
I believe they are.
Thought they were.
So if we're changing the ordinance, that's a publication.
Yeah, this is a totally different story.
Yes.
Advertise the whole 9 yards.
It doesn't actually,
No.
So it says, as authorized by the Rochester State Fire Code, the fire department shall be authorized to collect a fee for smoke and carbon monoxide detector inspections in all residential occupations.
That's residential. I don't think it goes into the commercial in the ordinance.
What about carbon monoxide
That's
checking?
It doesn't say that.
Doesn't differentiate.
Doesn't differentiate between
Doesn't say
residential and
no, it
commercial.
So Danny, what you were saying is we're allowed to do this if the town has an ordinance.
Correct.
Okay, so.
I'll get the wording, I
So
don't
we
have.
need to write an ordinance per state law so we can do this.
This isn't monitoring, is it?
No.
No.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I believe we can follow state law. I don't believe.
Yeah, I think.
I don't believe we need the
So
ordinance.
can I
Yeah,
make
state
it
law
so-
supersedes town, right?
On page 5 of your docket, 1.14.3.4. A plan review fee is not exceeding the amount listed in 1.14.3.2 and 1.14.3.3. Maybe, page 5.
Yeah, well,
It's
our
the-
number, you keep saying page numbers, we're not numbering.
Oh, I'm sorry. I numbered it so I wouldn't forget where I am. So it's the second to the last page.
I'm like counting it as you say.
So it says may be collected by assistant deputy fire marshals of the municipal departments and/or fire districts pursuant to municipal ordinance. Only upon the completion of the plan review process, all such fees shall be utilized exclusively by law. Right, but that's state law.
Which is state
But
law.
it says by ordinance.
It does
Right.
say by ordinance.
Yes.
So,
In ordinance?
That is an ordinance. But it doesn't say.
It doesn't differentiate.
So what we need to do is put this in an ordinance. No, am I
Well,
wrong?
we have a general ordinance that allows them to collect fees for residential, not commercial. So we
Right.
can just amend it to say commercial and then adopt the fees
Which
that's set by the
section?
state. 14-2. But it's-
Right, but the ordinance will have to say adopt the fees set by
Wait a
the
minute,
state.
wait a minute.
Well, it also says
Wait a
all
minute.
these fees shall go back to the fire department.
there's a discussion behind that too.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
We can't do that.
We need an ordinance.
Yes.
I believe state law supersedes the ordinance.
But it says by
correct?
ordinance.
No, but
So
the
towns
state
shall
law is
adopt by
saying-
ordinance.
Yes.
So this is giving this is called enabling legislation?
Yes.
This is enabling us to adopt an ordinance to set these fees.
Right.
So that's what we need to do. We just can't adopt the fees. It says the town must act affirmatively and do it in an ordinance. So that's what we'll do. And that just requires a ordinance and a public hearing, and we can get that done. It's not a
Yeah, I
problem.
don't think there's any disagreement. It's just going through the
I know you
proper
want to collect it
process.
earlier than later, but we'll get it. Let's just do.
All right.
We don't want anyone to challenge it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
The-
wait a
the-
minute. And then it says here, all such fees shall be utilized exclusively for supporting the operations of the Municipal Fire Prevention Bureau.
But you don't do that now anyways.
We can't do it. It had.
So
we're
the only-
charter.
Does the legislation enable us
No,
to do
it's-
that?
So the only funds that go back to us right now are the fire prevention funds.
But this is getting tricky. But the
No,
chart,
she's-
but the charter says it all goes into the general fund. And this can't supersede the charter. Well.
State
Well, there
law.
are some- there are some by state law.
Because it's state
So
law.
my,
State law.
can I suggest
State law supersedes the charter.
that the administrator and the solicitor work with the fire acting chief and the marshal to figure out what we need to do and what is allowable and not allowable?
Yeah, but it looks like this has to be put into an ordinance.
Yep.
Right,
Okay,
because-
so we'll table this. And I'll put it on the next meeting if you can do it in a couple of weeks.
So I'll withdraw my motion.
Yes, so,
Just a moment, there's also on the back page, it's smoke and carbon monoxide alarm systems. The thing is that this back page doesn't mention anything about commercial. I don't see commercial. It's saying $30, $60.
It's the next, it's the page just before that, Donna.
the page before that.
Just right where your hand is, just above.
Yeah.
Right? No, one, just right here. That's the plan review fee that the state uses for commercial property.
All right, well,
Thank you.
Mike's gonna be in town tomorrow for other meetings we have.
Are you available?
Yes,
Are you available at noon tomorrow?
yes.
Okay, because our meeting's at 2. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
All right, so I need a motion to table this item.
Motion to table.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. I have a lot of seconds on this item. All those in favor? Thank you.
You're the only one on this.
I think our
I did.
police officer
I
showed
made the
up.
motion.
He did. Lieutenant Poggi.
Donna second.
Maybe. All right, so I'm gonna do Donna's item again. So we're gonna go back to, going back to 8B. And this is Councilor Cook, discussion possible vote regarding the nationwide problem with recruitment, retaining police fire dispatcher. Welcome.
Okay.
So, excuse me, during one of the last meetings, I publicly told the council, and I was, about the staffing issues that we have in the police department. Currently, we are down 5 police officers and 3 dispatchers. We have 2 recruits in the academy currently, but we're still down 3 police officers, and as the council is aware, the amount of time that it takes to hire police officers is approximately 18 months. And now, as you just appointed Lieutenant Barbosa, it seems like we're always in a hole. With the dispatchers, we have 3 open dispatch positions, and of the 3 dispatchers that we did hire, 1 never showed up, 1 lasted approximately 3 days, 1 lasted 2 weeks. So, and I know I brought the lieutenant tonight, and Lieutenant Brian Pelagi is in charge of the planning and training unit. He's also responsible for recruitment. And I was approached by Councilor Cook just to ask us what we're doing to hopefully correct some of the problems, and I wanted the lieutenant to kind of lay out in bullet points what we're trying to do to recruit and retain good qualified people at your police department. Lieutenant.
So like the chief had just mentioned, in regards to retention and recruitment issues, we're having problems getting a good turnout pool. This is like a nationwide issue that we're having in terms of public perception of police, ever increasing dangers with policing, and the ongoing amount of responsibilities that we have to keep taking on as police officers. Because of that, we've been trying to do some things at the department that are definitely considered progressive. We've turned to a public relations firm to help assist us with broadcasting our department and advertising and trying to get more applicants. They're obviously helping us to use media types much better to broadcast, social media, radio, etc. And they're also helping us with creating a recruitment video which highlights the various aspects of the department, so we can get that out there as well. Recently, I'm sure you're aware that we've created a community policing division, which creates a little bit more opportunity for our department members to strive for. And we've been getting a lot of good positive attention because of that division. We also just created the state's first department-funded Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program, which goes hand in hand with our use of force training. And it is definitely displaying our department's progressive nature. It also allows us to provide more use of force training than any other department in the state. Additionally, I've recently started reaching out to all of our applicants almost immediately after they've submitted their applications. And I've put it out to them that if they want to come in to do a ride-along with any of our officers to see the department firsthand, to have that one-on-one time with the patrol officer and be able to ask the questions that they might not feel comfortable asking in an interviews type setting with, police panel with multiple people. We've had really good turnout in regards to that. We're roughly 40-45% of our applicants are engaging in ride-alongs, and I'm getting a lot of good positive feedback. In regards to dispatch, Chief already laid out the numbers for you. We've definitely been having some issues with maintaining our applicants, our trainees. I think we've lost probably 6 between people that we've hired and they haven't stayed around very long. In the last 6 to 9 months, they resigned in various stages of their training in probationary periods. Some applicants indicated that they were unaware of what the job actually entailed. They weren't too big a fan of the work environment itself, being in a small room, sometimes with another person, no windows, poor air quality, that kind of stuff. In regards to lack of benefits, obviously not having any type of longevity, health care after retirement, those are the types of things that are drawing personnel to these types of jobs. What we're doing in regards to dispatch, again, like I mentioned earlier, we're using that public relations firm to obviously broadcast that we're hiring for this position as well. And we've also reached out to our applicants in a similar fashion to the ride-alongs in regards to shadowing and dispatch, so that way they can come in, see the job firsthand, kind of get a feel for it before they continue with the process, which will hopefully save them some time as well as us. Chief?
So the other thing I want to add, and I was going to, when the lieutenant and I spoke about this, and I want to publicly thank Lieutenant Pelagi for all the work that he's done. It is clear that this is a nationwide crisis when it comes to the workforce. It is unprecedented what we're seeing as far as public safety workers, trying to find qualified men and women and police officers and dispatchers everywhere. It's nothing like we've ever seen. I talked to my colleagues both in the police department and police chiefs and other agencies, and I know Mr. Marcello could speak to this about the city of East Providence. They are at the point that they've actually ordered firefighters and police officers from the road to work dispatch. So it's unprecedented nationwide. One thing that does come up, and I know you're all aware of this, and the lieutenant alluded to it, pay is an issue. I just pulled off the internet that Portsmouth Police Department is hiring. They're accepting lateral transfers. And they lay out in their advertisement the salary and benefits for a police officer for years 2, 3, and 4. So in year 4, so if I were to retire today and lateral over to the Portsmouth Police Department, by the time that I finish my 3rd year in Portsmouth, I would be making more than Lieutenant Pelagi is today. So this is an issue that at some point, sooner rather than later, the town needs to address. We're not talking about state police, we're not talking about Cranston. We're talking about a community that applicants are driving by our town to apply somewhere else, and the benefits are more competitive. For someone who has worked for the town my entire life, unfortunately, we are not hiring people that live in Florence Street anymore. We are hiring young men and women who are highly educated, who do their homework, and they do comparisons of our department. And the lieutenant and also the men and women who work there are doing a good job to promote our agency. We do the same job. The only difference is frequency of the calls that we get. But the same calls that are had in East Providence, in Cranston, in New York, in LA, we see on a day-to-day basis as well. It's just the volume and the frequency. We have an exceptional police department. And I'll steal a line from one of my predecessors. If you want professionals, you need to pay professionals. And this is a conversation that we need to have.
Now, how about dispatches? Where do we compare in salary?
So, interesting you bring that up. I also...
Well, because it's on the agenda.
I don't want to be flippant.
It's not that interesting.
But it is when I tell you that I was going to apply to, and I checked, the Chick-fil-A that just opened at Fall River.
Oh, my God.
They are paying more money, starting pay, full-time, than what we pay an incoming dispatcher. I went on the website, I can apply right now between $17 and $20 an hour, which is more than what we pay or equal to what we pay a starting dispatcher. And I don't have to work Sundays, I don't have to work holidays, I don't have to get ordered back, and I don't have to work in an environment like the lieutenant said.
Well, interesting enough, we are going into ASME contracts.
Yes, ma'am.
So it'd be
Helpful.
if you're there, you need to discuss it with the negotiation team. Because the police, we just finished. But ASME, we're starting within the next couple of weeks. And that's where the dispatches are.
Yes, ma'am.
They're that union. So it'd be interesting to talk about that during negotiations.
And I will say too, and I know the Council Cook brought it up, and I know it's the council at large recognizes that it's not only about pay. We are of the mindset that, we're a team at the department, and it happens everywhere. We have young men and women who come in that use the department as a stepping stone. That's historic, that's pretty much everywhere, and we've done a really good job of calming that down a little bit, because we're being more selective in who we're hiring. I would much rather have 5 open positions than just hire 5 people who I know we're going to train, spend a lot of money and time for them to go somewhere else.
Well, the fire department's having the same exact problem also.
So, but part of the discussion that comes in about recruitment and retention, and that was what Councilor Cook had brought up, it definitely is a nationwide issue. I want to, and I know we strive to be progressive, and it's just one of the many facets that we're dealing with.
So we don't pay benefits to the dispatchers?
Yes.
The lieutenant had said? We do, oh, okay, I misheard then.
And they
Okay.
get ASME, right?
Okay. No, I misheard, I misheard.
No,
that's
he
all.
said pension.
So the
Oh,
issue with the
okay.
dispatch staff is they do not get health care after retirement.
Oh,
So
okay.
if we hire a young man or a young woman, and we're normally hiring them in their 20s, they have to work for us for 40 years to get on Medicare at 65.
Okay.
That's a lot of places, not.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah. No, I do,
Hospitals
yeah.
the same way.
No doubt, but
So-
when we're talking about, and what we're seeing, and I think it's going to be the norm, we're hiring young men and women who are using dispatch as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
They're coming in all of them, and I know the lieutenant can speak to this as well. What is your career goals? I want to be a police officer. Getting legacy dispatches, I just want to come and be a dispatcher for the rest of my career, is a rarity now. They're using it as a stepping stone, hopefully with us, but definitely with other agencies.
Which is a way of recruiting police officers, though.
Correct.
Because if they're happy as dispatchers, like the working environment, well,
Well, we get to see them, and we get to work with them. Yes.
Yeah, so.
And you get to decide if you like them too.
Right.
That is correct.
So,
That is correct.
So did
the
you get
way-
any responses from this, because it closed Monday?
Where are we with, how many dispatch applications have we received?
Dispatch, we're, I believe, at 13 or 14.
Okay.
And then for police, we're at 17 or 18, and there are a couple that have applied for both. So
Okay,
we've got
and-
some duplicates.
Help me understand why the dispatcher needs a valid driver's license.
We want to make sure that they can get to work.
Yeah.
Okay, but they may have other ways.
They could.
I'm just looking at what are the potential
Well, this-
barriers.
Well, this might have been a problem in the past, and that's why it's there.
Well, then
Right.
the other thing, and I'll bring this up too, sir, with the driver's license, there's an element of independence, because with dispatchers, we order them back to work.
Okay.
So if at 11 o'clock at night, or at 10 o'clock, right now, someone calls out sick for the 11 o'clock shift, we call you, we tell you, we have to be at work for 11 or
Yeah.
earlier. It's up to them to find a ride. With a driver's license, there's just a little bit of flexibility.
So what about a juvenile record?
We're at the point, even with adult records, we will look at that and take that into consideration, depending on what the charges are, but that won't eliminate an applicant from either police officer or dispatcher, from any public safety job. That's something that what we're looking for. If someone has a record, just tell us about it. What we tell all of the recruits, both dispatch and police, we understand that we're hiring people from the human race, and they come with baggage.
Right.
So, but what we demand is integrity. Own your life. So if there's something that's there that we're going to look at, we'll make that determination. Just tell us.
So do you think that turns away people, potential
I would hope
applicants?
not, because like the lieutenant said, we're very clear about what I'm telling you is what we tell them initially.
Mhm.
And if there's a question, we meet with them. And I know, and I give credit to the lieutenant, he's calling the applicants and say, why don't you come in and just sit with the dispatch staff right now?
Right, but if I go on policeapp.com I put in my $35 fee.
We've waived all the fees.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to ask about that.
And I see this with all the requirements. I say, oh, shit, I got in trouble when I was a kid. I may not apply.
That's true.
Okay?
I would like to think that if you have your heart set on working with us or being a police officer and a dispatcher, call. I mean, that's what the lieutenant's job is.
Yeah,
Says, I have this, if it's gonna, and we'll tell you whether it's gonna prevent you or not.
I don't know if they would, though.
Yeah, that's my concern with that. And I understand, and I appreciate that you're willing to work with folks. That's what we need to be able to do. That's in black and white for me. And as an applicant, if I did, I'd say, I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A.
I understand. But I also.
Although they might have the same.
Yeah, I recognize that. But I look at it through the other lens too, sir, that if we don't put it there, so now we open floodgates with, and I know some agencies have, we demand that you have a 60 college credits or prior public safety experience or military experience or reserve experience. I know some agencies have lowered it to 18. I don't know of any 18-year-old police officers.
Right.
So they're going to get a flood of applications, and then we're just going to weed through those folks.
Right.
So there's got to be some vetting.
Right.
And we want to put like basic criteria, what you'd expect. We all, in a perfect world, expect our police officers not to have any criminal records. We also recognize that that's not a reality.
Okay.
Next time send me this, because I may be able to.
Donna?
So I copied this off the page, and it doesn't say the fee is waived. $35 might turn someone
So by
off.
utilizing Police App is charging the applicant for, we used to charge a fee on top of it. So we waived that fee.
Okay.
Police App will waive the fee if the applicant requests that. We're not going to not have an applicant because of a financial issue. So they can request the fee be waived, but Police App is charging that.
Okay. This is what I experienced. I was going to go look for a job as a dispatcher. I went to the Tiverton website, employment opportunities. I didn't see police dispatch, not listed. So then I went to the police website. People might not do that, okay? You got to make it really easy for people. So I go to the website, and it says they're not hiring, there's no hiring. So I hit the About button, because I said, I know there's jobs, but somebody else doing this is going to go, oh, look, there's no jobs available. No, I'm like, okay. So I hit the About button, which makes no sense to me, and the employment comes down. So it states, we are not hiring at this time. But I knew that there was dispatchers, so I used the app, and most would not do this because they looked at not hiring. Hiring by state. 9/26 was deadline, not listed. It's not listed now, but with the time when I did it, it was listed. I like to make things really easy because people do not like to read, and they're not gonna go any further than, oh, employment opportunities. Oh, nothing there. They need a fire chief. They need. Oh, no. Okay, and that's as far as they go. So that's a problem to me. And then you go to the website, and it says they're not hiring anybody.
Why does it
That's another problem. And then you need to have it right there on our employment saying, we're hiring dispatchers, go to the police site. At least tell them where to go. And then when they go there, how would they know to hit About? About what? And then it comes down and you go, oh, there's employment. And it's just too hard. I find if you make it too hard, that's it, you've lost them. So you gotta immediately catch them on unemployment, because if people are looking for town employment, they're going to look for town employment, and the police is not there. So they go, and then when they go and decide to try the police, it's saying you're not hiring anyone. So that's the end of that. So I don't know how many we lost that way. People don't like to read. They don't want to look for anything. And as far as the problem with, I'll just give her, for instance, that I got about a C and This is kind of funny. This is really funny. They were waiting for the CNA to come back from lunch because the other CNA wanted to go to lunch. And the CNA quit and had just left the building. Left the building and never said, oh, it was you, wasn't it? It was you. I thought it was the funniest story. But they have nothing to lose and they just go home or they just quit. That's what, it's not just dispatcher problem.
You're right.
It's a problem in general. That they don't have any skin in the game, so they just go, oh, I'm not going back. They don't even tell anybody. So.
You're not wrong, ma'am. And I'll speak with the lieutenant. We'll take a look at the town's website, where we normally advertise, and I know this is what the lieutenant was saying about the public relations firm, the police academy, police app. Part of that $35 fee is they attract and target areas when you're doing a Google search. That's when the two ways that we get people is through the police app, through public safety, law enforcement type sites, and to be honest, word of mouth. So we talk to people, and is Tiverton hiring? Hey, I might know somebody. Though that has been kind of somewhat successful recently, that we know people because we prefer to hire people, obviously from town. So, but we'll definitely take a look at the website. Things can be wonky, like our website gets updated, we do a lot of work on social media, and we're paying a fee to these firms to make sure that they're blasting it out there for us. But your point is well taken, ma'am. We'll definitely take a look at it.
I hope so, because, only because I knew you said you were hiring dispatchers, that I continued to go further. Anybody else would have just stopped, period. So, I was just trying to come up with other creative ideas, you know, banners and flyers and postcards, and I don't know. I mean, if you have a banner up there, we're hiring dispatchers, then people, then they see it.
On the police
People like
station.
banners, right? I don't know.
As part of our accreditation process, and I know the lieutenant can speak to this as well, we go to all the local colleges, we go to all the local schools, ACLU, the NAACP. We're required to take our advertisement per our accreditation standards and make sure that all of those agencies know and they're represented that we're looking for police officers and public safety employees. So we put it out there. I mean, unfortunately, I'm going to date myself. The days of waiting for the Sunday Providence Journal to get the job section and opening up, they're just gone, which is what the beauty is of the police app. To your point, when we open their application, they get a notification that their application is received. When we tell them that they're to come in for an interview, they get a text message and they know instantaneously. So they're not waiting for a phone call or a letter in the mail.
Yeah.
So that is keeping them interested, and we know we have definitely lost people before because they will wait. I haven't heard anything from Tiverton, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, you do have to hit what state you want to go to. It's got Massachusetts, of course, so all, then, you know, it has all the listed, same as Rhode Island, who's hiring, what they're doing. It's very, very interesting, but you've got to get them there first if they
Yes,
think
ma'am.
there's no job listed.
So if you know somebody, Counselor, please let the lieutenant know.
So it's not just police, it's hiring everywhere. You know, you go to a restaurant and they're closed because they didn't have servers. I will be spending a good deal of my day tomorrow interviewing, or I'm scheduled to interview. Half of them probably won't show up. All of my staff are union, various unions. Half won't show up, half will make offers to, but they will be interviewing someplace else other days, and they're going to compare side by side. So we have to have the best package, like to lure them in. So I know that we're going into like the dispatchers negotiations. So is there any way to kind of bonus them, or like think about that, bonus them to start? Maybe something after 6 months, a year, something like that. Recruitment, you know, the person who brings them in gets some kind of bonus. We've also gone to, and I work for a big healthcare system, and we've been very, very successful, whereas other ones have not. But we go to the union and we ask if we can do recruit. But we hire. So
Your union.
We're union, so our salaries are higher, right? But we do go to the union, even though the contract's closed already, it's already been negotiated, and we ask if we can do some kind of recruiting bonuses, and that's been successful. That gets people in. Honest to goodness, if you don't like your job, it doesn't really matter what you pay them. So, you know, the conditions have to be great and all of that, because if they're not great here, they're great someplace else, or so they think. Some people hop around, right?
I've said it all the time. I don't want to be at the top. I just want to be in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to be competitive with everyone else. Unfortunately, and it's no secret, we're at the bottom, and we're always kind of pushing up, and that makes the difference. Because being in the middle, we can always strive just a little bit, so it's not that big of a lift, and we're comparable. If someone comes in, whether it's police officer, dispatcher, and they're going to go somewhere else, we've accepted that for decades. We've been talking about it for decades. But now when we're losing people next door to Portsmouth, Little Compton, Bristol, Warren, Middletown, Narragansett, Swansea, Somerset, when we're losing police officers and public safety employees to similar size agencies, Portsmouth is even advertising state-of-the-art headquarters with fitness facility. The joke in my office today, we can say that our building's historic. That's about it. So I mean, those are the kind of things, to Councilor Cook's issue, that attract young men and women, is the environment.
Okay, so can we move on?
Wish we can.
Okay, well.
Thank you.
Thank you
Lieutenant.
for giving me permission.
Now go for it.
All right, I'm moving on. Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
You stay there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you're here for the next three.
Yeah.
Town Administrator, Police Chief Jones, discussion and possible vote to authorize the town to formally engage with Cybercom to modernize the public radio communication system as quoted using American Recovery Funds and the AFG grant.
So both chief, the acting chief, commander should come up as well, and I don't know, Chief Jones, do you want to give an introduction to this and have
I do.
Cybercom actually come up?
Also in the room, we've asked the representatives of Cybercom, and they're here tonight in the back of the room, and I would ask them to kind of come up. Patrick Rush and Todd Posner, we've
You've
been
got like
working.
the whole department here tonight.
Well, all these individuals were instrumental in
So-
meeting with the appropriate parties here to make sure that we could get the appropriate systems that we need to replace. So they were doing the due diligence part of this as well.
Okay.
So the gentleman behind me from Cybercom, they are the representatives, and just really briefly talking about the public safety radio system. So the police and the fire department are currently on an 800 state-maintained public safety communication system. That is for police, fire, rescue, all your public safety communications. The police department went to the 800 megahertz system in 2004. The console, and when I say console, that is the actual dispatch center where the human being, the human dispatcher sits and dispatches the police, the fire, and the rescue. North Providence Police threw out their console in 2004, and we have been using it for the past almost 20 years. The gentleman from Cybercom and how we engage with them is, all of this is state MPA pricing. They are the sole source state vendor for all of these issues. Our consoles, our portables, the physical radios that the police officers, the firefighters carry, and the mobiles are coming to end of life. No different than an iPhone 3 or Windows XP. It is no longer going to be maintained by Motorola. So if something catastrophic were to happen, we get hit by lightning or the thing just doesn't work anymore, we're at that point that it cannot be fixed or maintained. So the only caveat to this whole issue with the 800 megahertz system that we found out was the fire department is still maintaining a 400 megahertz system. And the purpose of that is for mutual aid for the Massachusetts communities. So that's essential and also part of this proposal, that we upgrade the 400 megahertz system and we upgrade the 800 megahertz system as a legacy project, that all of these systems would be upgraded to current state-of-the-art standards and to include a portable and a mobile radio for every vehicle, police and fire, and a portable radio for every police officer and firefighter. So I know the administrators talked about using some of the American Recovery Act money. The acting chief was able to secure a grant in the amount of about $340,000. And I know there is also a grant that has not been confirmed yet, but it is in legislative process for $500,000 to also supplement this project. But we don't have the green light on that. We do not.
Well, it would supplement this project for the dispatch center renovation.
That's correct.
It's not for these radios.
That's correct. It would be like phase, so when we buy these new consoles that are just big computers, we don't want to put them in the old room that we currently have. So we want to upgrade that room so we can put these consoles in.
Where would you go? It's so small.
We're thinking about hopefully doing some renovations to kind of move it out and maybe do something.
Whatever those renovations would be transferable to something else.
Right.
So what do we do with these 400 megahertz? We're going to upgrade those, and then how do you talk to the other departments?
So with the grant, we were lucky enough to secure new radios, which are dual band.
I see.
So actually, we wrote the grant. I wrote for the 400 and the 800 separate. They combined them into one. So we're getting a dual radio, 800, 400, that we can change back and forth. It's big for the mutual aid, but it also is big for our EOC center. If the state goes down for whatever reason, we have 400 backup. If our 400 goes down, we'll be operating on the 800, but they'll both mimic each other and have a backup for the operations center also.
And only the fire department would have the dual band.
I believe the police department will have a dual band also.
We would, and not as far as the portables, but if something were to happen to the 800 system, and it has happened in the past, I mean, the 800 system's robust, that if it goes down, they can kind of, but in the event that something were to happen, we could also jump on and utilize the 400 system.
Yeah.
So if something also were to happen that it was, heaven forbid, we had a major incident that required interoperability for the police and the fire department, we could all jump on the same frequency, which we do not have that ability now.
No, you don't.
So we've been looking at this project for quite some time. The vendor that's involved, Cybercom, has had to work with Motorola to actually vet this project out. It is a Motorola project. They're just overseeing it for the most part, and the conduit to get that lion's share of sole source materials to us. They'll support it for us, but that also took a while to go through that process as well for them to validate this project and ensure we were getting the right pieces of equipment.
When did you say the end of life is on the current equipment?
2 years ago?
On the dispatch, it's actually was December of last year. We're
Okay.
still maintaining it for the police department. The dispatch, from Motorola's perspective, was no longer supported.
Okay.
And I think, Chief, in both chiefs, acting chief, on the fire department system, the fixed end has been out of support for several years now. Again, we've been maintaining it, but
But maintenance depends on being able to get the parts if necessary.
that's the biggest issue.
Right.
If we can get them,
Right.
we're good.
Unsupported by Motorola right now.
Right.
Well, and you know, Donna can verify this, Deb can verify this. We were all on the budget committee together. We've been talking about this for at least 4 years, 5 years.
We were talking about this when I was on the budget committee.
Yeah, you know,
I was gonna say,
but I mean,
yeah.
It's become more and more
20 years
critical.
ago.
And we, you know, this is just, it can't go on.
So the biggest reason why we were so successful on our grant is because our equipment is so old.
Yeah.
We got the most points that you could.
But that's not a reason to get there.
That poor town.
Yeah, it's kind of like
All right,
you're
so
the lowest
bottom
in
line
football,
is,
right?
How much
The
are you
best
planning
draft.
on using from the American Recovery?
Well, right now, it'd be everything but the 339,000.
That's the number I want.
$339,432
So what's?
So this
So
total
I'm
cost is
looking at- I see the total
1.445, right? The total cost?
So subtract.
We're backing out 3 what?
39.
339?
Can I just ask, does this tie into Public Works at all?
It does not.
No.
But they could.
So it'd be somewhere in the 1.1 something.
We might be able to do, I don't want to say that, I don't want to say definitively. This project is specifically for police, fire, rescue. That's it.
Yeah.
But
$1,106,000.
it would be additional cost to do something for the public works.
But
Well,
if,
there has been discussion about it.
but if we, at some point, purchase something for a DPW, it could interact with
So,
this.
from Cybercon's perspective, could we utilize some of those old radios on part of the 400 system?
You could possibly use some of those older radios, but the bigger point would be that the new 400 system would be connected via a microwave network rather than phone line circuits. So the town would get an immediate advantage to disconnecting those circuits, and whatever you're paying for them now, you would no longer have to pay. Then if the DPW wanted to launch equipment at the sites that are connected via that microwave, they could also use that microwave as transport for that network.
Yeah, so we currently pay almost $2,300 a month for 2 lines.
For telephone.
Combined or just?
Just the fire.
Just ours. We just removed 2. In a project that we went from the tower to the police station, we ran new lines, eliminated 2. We just eliminated 2 more about a month ago that we found. And this would be the last of it. And that'd be it's about $20,000 a year for the.
More than that.
More than 28,
Yeah,
almost 28,
yeah.
if you do 23.
27.
And that's at current
I
prices.
don't remember what the savings, I just got rid of 2 lines that were $738 a month.
Okay.
So, yes, we would have a big savings with getting rid of those lines.
So how long would it take to facilitate this project once it's authorized, before it could be completed?
So right now, the biggest challenge is the global chip shortage. So radios that we used to get in 8 to 10 days are now taking 4 to 5 months. So it's probably, if you were to approve it now, probably would not be getting installed until sometime in the spring would be my guess. We spend a lot of time on the phone now, trying to expedite things and seeing if we can get things quicker, but it's a big challenge.
And all the warranties would start from completion of the project?
That's correct. You don't have to worry about that.
Okay, so the vote this evening is to approve 1.16.
1.1.
106.
106. Out of the American Recovery.
Which did we tentatively do that already?
We've tentatively talked about this a number of times.
Okay.
This has been a project that's, in our view, it's been the highest priority that we've had. I haven't fully gotten everything up on the website yet to do what we had discussed about, doing with the American Recovery money. Some of that was because I haven't gotten all the information
But we
from
had
others yet.
talked
but
about using it.
We have definitely talked about this a number of times, and during those discussions, we explained that we were, before the vendor, trying to totally scope this project out and make sure that we got every piece that needed to be done so that we didn't have to come back.
But the second grant you mentioned doesn't offset that 1016.
No.
No, it does not.
No, it'd be for stage 2.
It would be additional, okay. Okay.
Because there's a stage 1 and a stage 2 to this project.
Well, we know we need to do this. We're not gonna have the money falling out of a tree like we do now. And if we don't do it now, it's not gonna get
So
done.
there may be some additional auxiliary costs that we have not anticipated, whether it's electrical, wiring, some sort of configuration to get from the electrical panels to where this is. I mean, I don't think all that has been scoped out. I mean, technically, we've got the pieces that we know that are needed, but getting it all wired and get it functional and put it in appropriate pieces of furniture.
If we gave a 20% cost overrun factor?
Well, could we
With
just
that.
make a motion to,
Or up to.
can't we?
I need more information, like where the money's gonna come from and how that's gonna work.
So we're talking about ARPA, we're talking about American Recovery.
American Recovery monies.
How much is left of that?
Quite a bit. We have spent very little of American
Okay.
Recovery money. So we had 4.7 million. We've allocated, I think, less than 200,000.
Yeah, the last you talked to was still over 4 million. The last one looked at it.
All right,
We've been talking about.
And there are
this
other
all
projects
the
that we have coming at you.
Years.
and the service agreement is that, do I see that right? $167,800?
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's for 4 years?
I believe it's minimum of 4, if not 5.
1 to 4? Is
What
it
is for?
1 through 4?
40
Or is that every year?
No. I believe that is scoped out as a 4-year.
Where are you?
It says year 1 through 4.
Correct.
Yes, it's 4 years.
Yep.
So,
So that's all 4 years, so it's like 40,000, no,
okay, I'm trying to, total project.
it's like 42.5 a
And
year.
then it's got purchase order requirements. Is that the same price, or?
Whatever it costs. Because we know it's not gonna, they're not gonna.
Let me just do a cost over.
Not to exceed 20%. Or not to exceed amount.
Yeah, so I will make a motion that we authorize the amount of $1.3 million, up to, not to exceed $1.3 million from the American Recovery Act funds for this purpose, with the understanding that 1106 is for the costs outlined before us with a 20% potential cost overrun if needed.
Do I have a
Second.
Unanticipated expenses.
Do we need to include?
But that, you're saying use up, but it
That's what
comes
I'm
to
approving. Yeah.
1,445,000.
Comes to 1.3,
Yeah, but we get the grant money. We have the grant money.
So there's 339,000 in grant money as well.
Right. So when you subtract the grant money, it's 1.2, it's 1 million.
1.106 plus 20%.
1.106. And then Mike put a 20% increase on that.
for unanticipated, up to, it's not to exceed.
And then if we have more of an override, well, then you gotta
I'll
come
come
back.
All right, so if that's a motion, I second it.
Yeah.
Joe seconded.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
You're still here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere. I love bossing you around, you know that, right? But-
So,
Okay, please, oh, here we go. Yeah, you might
He's
want to
getting
stay to
bullet-
protect
He's
him.
getting bulletproof vests.
now that he's got this.
Okay, Police Chief Jones, discussion, possible vote. Yeah, I'm right, Yeah.
Yep.
Possible vote to accept and approve a grant from the USDA for $164,850 towards the purchase of vehicles for the police department and the Department of Public Works.
So, as we had the discussion during the gaming revenue consideration meeting, I believe it was the council president who challenged me to find some grant money if I wanted my 3
I do that on purpose.
So I did reach out to our contacts at the United States Department of Agriculture, and given that they operate on a fiscal year, they were able to secure for us up to $200,000 that we could apply for the purposes of police or public safety vehicles. So I spoke with Director Rogers, and I put in for the grant, and the USDA grant is a 35% match. So with all of Director Rogers' vehicle requests, to include the snow plow, the four-way plows, the Bobcat, the trailer, the skid steer, and 3 police cruisers, the total price was $471,000, of which the USDA will support $164,850. So essentially, we're getting the police cars for free.
Well,
No.
no, wait a minute.
The other stuff for free.
The other stuff's for free and we're buying you police cars.
Well, the total cost, if we were to buy everything, if you were to approve Director Rogers
No, you
and
know
the
I'm
police
teasing you.
department, I do.
You know.
But by the more we spend, the more we get back.
Okay, so Rick has all his cars for free.
He can't buy all that for
Okay.
160.
Well, right. the
So
100
all
100
kidding aside.
Yes, ma'am.
I did challenge you, and once again, you came through, and thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
And I'm never criticizing you.
I know.
I will apologize to the rest of the council that we did not seek prior permission to apply for this grant beforehand, but it was really an emergent need because this money would have gone to another community had the chief not put this grant
Right
request
away.
in.
Now-
So we would have lost this opportunity had he not done this.
So
And this has been awarded. We've already been approved.
So we can subtract what the town asked for the casino money at this point by 164 and be able to give
Utilize it somewhere
more
else.
other places in town.
So we're using casino money?
Yes, we're using the casino money. This was part of.
We
what he did.
We were.
Well, you haven't approved it yet, but it'll go before that,
Right.
at your next meeting
Right, but
about
all
casino monies.
all the vehicles that the police and DPW came out to 400 and whatever, and we just got almost half the match.
So this happened to be excess monies that USDA had from another area that was not allocated to Tiverton. We happened to be prudent enough to ask and proactive, and we were very fortunate to get this,
So
so.
I want to say, if you want another car, find a grant to get the firemen everything they need. What do you think? Yeah, I'm challenging you now. The fire department. No, they're working hard at it too. but-
Dave Robert wants a car.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I
You
can't
can
get Dave
another
Roberts'
car
car to
if you can pay
qualify.
for something else.
So is anybody keeping track of how many
Yes.
grants and what
Yes.
value
Yes,
the
yes.
chief has gotten for
We
it?
just asked this question the other day, Chief, about how much was it?
We talked about it the other day.
We're just shy of like $1 million.
Yeah.
And what did it cost us?
Well, it
that's-
was matched,
that's-
but-
See, that's 20%.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
well done.
So, I need a motion to accept the USDA grant for $164,850.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All those in favor? Donna?
Abstain.
Okay. All right.
One more.
Yeah, I didn't, discussion and possible vote to accept and approve the Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant for $14,188.99 to purchase new body armor for our police officers.
So this was also another grant that is supported by the Department of Justice for bulletproof vests. I know I made the presentation during the gaming revenue meeting that NIJ, which is the National Institute of Justice, say that body armor for police officers expires after 5 years. Lieutenant Balaji and many of the officers, we did an audit of all of our vests, and the majority, approximately over 90% of the department, are wearing bulletproof vests that's over 5 years old. So by doing so, we were able to get the $14,188 from the Department of Justice grant. This is only a portion of what we need to pay. What I request, and I sent some backup information, whether you want to do this, vote on it tonight, but take it under consideration for another meeting. What I would request is that we're going to need $25,000. So the total cost would approximately be $40,000. What that would be is you would be getting a new bulletproof vest for every single one of your police officers, to include the ones we haven't hired yet. The 2 currently in the academy and the 3 that we anticipate sending to the police academy in January.
We'll have to do that at
That's
another
fine.
meeting because it's not on
Right.
the agenda.
Right.
But it would be wise to put it as for a casino request.
Yes, ma'am.
And he did previously ask to apply for this grant.
Yes.
And-
Oh, yes, he did.
And council did give him permission to do so.
So.
I move it.
Are these like one size fits all, or are they're
No.
sizes?
No, they're fitted.
So we can't order them in advance, right?
We actually, all the officers are actually already sized.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of, we were waiting for this grant because we knew that this grant would be a big portion of it. So everyone's already sized, and it's just a matter of getting approval, and then we can put the order in, and then when we put the order in, it's going to take time to get them in too. Usually it's about 6 to 8 weeks.
But you had said future officers too.
So when we hire those future officers, we'll have credit with
Okay.
this company. So when they go to the academy, because the academy requires that they have body armor during the 6 months of training.
Yep.
So they'll get sized at the academy, it'll be ordered. So definitely during training, or hopefully during training, but definitely when they come to us and they start on the job, they'll be equipped with body armor.
What do you do with the old ones?
Sometimes we use it as spares, keep it. I know there's a lot of agencies that are donating it. I saw that Middletown and I think it was East Providence, they sent some to Ukraine. So there are some initiatives to donate it to world agencies.
Well, hopefully
underprivileged
they
agencies.
still work though. Hopefully they're
No,
effective.
it's better than nothing.
They're better than
The ones
nothing.
that don't, they send to Russia.
All right, Joe.
I like that.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
But
We just
we,
have a
do
cardboard
we
cutouts.
get a
All right.
bulk discount?
I'm sorry?
Do we get a bulk discount? Because, no.
We're not bulky enough.
Well, I didn't know if we're ordering that many, if we got, so then we get a credit.
Yeah, I will,
For
these
those.
are all master price agreement prices. So we're getting the master, so arguably, we're getting a bulk rate because we're on the MPA.
All right, so I need a motion to.
Move approval.
Approve. Do I
To-
second?
No, this is a grant.
This isn't casino
Just
money.
like the
It's
last
just
one was
to
a grant.
accept the grant, that's all it was.
Oh, accept the.
Just to accept the grant. There's no money we have to. Yeah, I have a motion. Second.
We have a second,
Any
right?
further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're sticking around though.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and I would like to table J until we go into executive, correct? Yeah, and Janet, is she still here? We're
She
gonna,
is. She
yeah,
is. We'll
we're
do her
gonna
first?
do
Yeah.
you first, but we're gonna take a 5-minute break.
Being pulled. It'll be in my office. I'm gonna go to my office.
Oh, okay. Do we need to make a motion to approve this?
I was told no when I asked to wait because the officer wasn't here yet. Why?
Hello.
Oh, go ahead.
You want to table? You want to table?
No, I'm just saying, do we need to make a motion to
Don't be that bad, though.
move J
No, he has
into
to.
executive?
I know. All right.
Or to after executive?
She's not moving in your house.
Temporarily.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
For 2 weeks.
come on.
Make a motion to close it.
Make a motion
To go into executive session.
enter into executive session.
Do you have to do the J first, or the?
So we tabled that.
No, we tabled that.
Oh.
Because we have to go into
We'll do that when they come
executive.
out of executive.
Oh, okay.
Motion to enter into
Yeah,
executive session under Town Administrator
don't need a vote
RIGL
to. I don't need a
42465A1.
Vote to table it.
Personnel, job performance, annual value. I make annual motion, annual evaluation for Senior Center Director Janet Holmes, notice given. B, Town Administrator RIGL 42465A1. Personnel, operational review of municipal court operations, notice given. And C, Town Solicitor RIGL 42465A2. Litigation, update on case number NC 2021-0201, Northborough Realty Holdings LLC versus Tiverton Zoning Board of Review, sitting as the Board of Appeals.
Before we do that, we make a motion to table J, just so we.
I need a motion. for
Motion
that.
to table
You didn't
J.
have-
You asked to table it, so.
Yeah, but you didn't have me do motion it, table it.
Yeah, we're
when
just
the
coming
police
back to
officer
it.
wasn't here.
Yeah, we're coming back to it. So my motion's on the floor, you need
Do I have a
a second.
second? Okay. All those in favor, Counselor Perry?
Yes.
Counselor Cook?
Yes.
Counselor Janick? Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
I'm a yes?
Yes.
Okay. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
Janet, I have apologized. I have to go home and help my daughter move back into the house temporarily.
Which he's looking forward to.
But Sina says hello.